Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Dan Banchero Show. I'm your host and still a major league piece of work, Dan Banchero. Welcome. I wasn't going to do a show this week, but I got some messages and some suggestions from some viewers this week on some certain topics, and I was going to continue in 2011 from last week, but based on some of the discussions I had with others and some of the things that came up, I decided to do a little short presentation on basically what they were suggesting. For years I worked in the restaurant business, okay? And it's a very, very hostile environment. So if you got personal issues going on, like I did, outside of the workplace, and you're working in busy restaurants, whether you're in management, you're a server, you're in the back of house as a cook or a chef, even if you're a busser or a hostess, it's a very, very hostile environment. And there's a lot of demand from all kinds of different, people. So, you could be one of the guests coming in. There's demand from them. There's demand from the chefs. There's demand from corporate. There's demands from the management. The servers need to accommodate the customers and the guests for what they need. So everybody's got all these demands, right, based on customers' needs. And for me, as I've expressed in the past, I had a lot of things going on in my personal life outside of the workplace, whether that had to do with raising my daughter, trying to co-parent with her mom. I had an alcohol problem, and I really had a lot of insecurities. And when you combine all these things, it can be a lot to handle. So the most important thing is to take care of our mental health, as far as I'm concerned. If you're dealing with somebody who's mentally abusive in your life, you start to have these negative thoughts, and you start second-guessing yourself about everything you're doing. Or it becomes a complete distraction at work. You can't even focus on what's at hand. So I, for one, I remember, let's say I was working as a server, and I'm trying to take orders, and let's say I'm getting triple sat and double sat, and there's people who want to split checks, and there's a lot of things going on. And if I'm coming in hungover, or if I'm coming to work under the influence of booze, it's going to make my job even harder. It takes so much demand and focus to work in restaurants that are busy. And when my personal life was getting involved, it became a huge distraction. I could not operate as a human being or as an employee. So until I was able to correct these mental errors and these choices I was making with my mind, how to receive abusive people in my life or any other types of misunderstandings that were affecting the way I felt, I had to start taking responsibility for my thoughts, because my thoughts have a direct influence on my feelings. The great Dr. Wayne Dyer, in Pulling Your Own Strings, I think it's a book he wrote in the 70s. I read it a couple times over the past 10 years. It really, really helped me get focused and straighten my act out when I keep going back to the literature. But as soon as I stray away from it, I forget really easily, and I go haywire. So when dealing with difficult people or unfortunate situations in your personal life, there's a couple of great selections from Pulling Your Own Strings that Dr. Dyer stated. The first one is, the freest people in the world are those who have senses of inner peace about themselves. They simply refuse to be swayed by the whims of others and are quietly effective at running their own lives. These people enjoy freedom from role definitions in which they must behave in certain ways because they are parents, employees, Americans, or even adults. They enjoy freedom to breathe whatever air they choose, in whatever location, without worrying how everyone else feels about their choices. They are responsible people, but they are not enslaved by other people's selfish interpretations of what responsibility is. So, as I stated, there was a lot of misconceptions, a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of hurt feelings regarding, how to parent. And, there's this thing called a meme. And I'm not talking about meme generator when you get online and people are making these funny pictures with these funny sayings. A meme is an idea, like a gene in the physical body. A meme is an idea that spreads from mind to mind until it becomes a truth because it's repeated over and over and over again. Now, these memes can be positive in some ways, but in a lot of ways they can be dangerous. Or these memes can be one person's truth based on their past experience and their situation, but it might not necessarily be somebody else's truth. So these beliefs that I was having with my relationships outside of work was causing conflict. So we had two different views of where we're supposed to be in life. For me, this started at a very young age. Okay, so like when I was younger, I always felt like I had to prove something to somebody. I didn't have the cool clothes and the cool haircuts in Catholic school. And then when I got into Mills High School, I started having a little bit more freedom with the way I dressed, the way I cut my hair, with the way I talked, the way I spoke to others. And, you know, I had a little bit more control. And I was able to, I feel like, meet the needs of others because I was so obsessed with, you know, getting people's attention, the attention that I didn't have necessarily when I was younger. And it was my goal to be like the big man on campus. You know, and I had a lot of fun doing it. You know, me and my friends had a blast in high school, man. And but this carried on going into the adult ages. In my 20s, you know, we started having these memes of where we're supposed to be at as far as college or our career goals, or, you know, eventually buying property, or, you know, then you get into your 30s and there were these ideas of where we're supposed to be as far as our retirement. So we get all this fear mongering going on, and it becomes a distraction, and we start feeling like we're inadequate. You know, so for me, I just got to turn off the TV altogether because I don't have any time for it. I just need to focus on my character, and that gives me some great peace. When I'm not paying attention to what is advertised out here in this world as far as what we need or where we should be or what's going to make me happy, I just have a better day and I get through life pretty well. So now I'm confident that I don't have to meet the expectations of others anymore. You know, I got a lot more peaceful of a life. Now, going back to the restaurant business in the last 4 months, I noticed a difference because the hostile environment hasn't left. You know, and I see people struggling with situations that require a lot of attention. You might have to move a little bit quicker. You might have to make, you know, fast decisions. You might have to pay a little extra attention to a table or a certain group of guests, and, you know, other people might feel like they're getting ignored. So there's all this stuff going on, man. And if I'm under the influence of alcohol, or if I'm distracted and I'm not fit up here in my head, I'm not going to make it through the day. And that's what it all comes down to. I was unable to be a successful person. And today, you know, really quick, the best part about this little Dan Banchero show thing that I've been doing for the last few weeks is that I have accountability. So, you know, like earlier this week, LeBron James, he was getting some flack for being mic'd up while he was coaching his son after a basketball game, right? And they're like, oh, what would he be saying if the mic wasn't on? Or you know, how do people act when the camera's off? Well, the best part about the Dan Banchero show is I live with 12 people. And if you were to ask the people I live with, the people I encounter on a daily basis outside of my home, all my coworkers, they would be all there to verify that what you see is what you get. You know, so there's nothing to hide. Now, what I have disclosed is how I acted in the past, okay? And those were all some bad days, and, you know, luckily I'm alive today to be able to talk about them now. But, you know, it wasn't always fun to laugh about when all this crazy stuff was going on. So I was a bad employee. You know, I was letting other people's opinion and their expectations of me get to me, and I couldn't be my own self. Now, some life events happened, and, you know, some relationships have changed, whether people moved away or, you know, relationships ended, or they just got better because I was able to find out that I can control my reputation just by changing my character. But if I'm focused directly on my reputation without taking any action on my character, I'm screwed. And then everything goes haywire, and I can't be a good employee. I can't be a good salesperson. I can't be a good, you know, worker in a restaurant. I can't do nothing. I sure as hell can't even vacuum a bedroom or, you know, mop a floor or do any chores or do laundry. I can't do nothing. I'm obsessed with what's wrong and why are these people treat me like this, and I allow this mental poison to go through me. It'll screw my life up, and I don't want to go back to that. So, you know, these events that I've been sharing the last few weeks of my life, you get to a place where you just feel something's your calling. You know, it's just, I don't need any famous exposure or anything like that. It's just that the events of my life have been so vivid and is so clear, the good and the bad, and even the boring, that I just feel that I need to tell these stories and how things have evolved and how I got to this place of serenity where I'm at today. Just for, you know, it's pure benevolence. The show is nothing but benevolence. It's for the benefit of somebody else. Not everybody, but it's just somebody else. And, you know, hopefully if somebody's struggling with something, you know, maybe they'll pick up one of these books that I've mentioned and they'll read these things thoroughly and they'll be able to identify with it. Or they might be doing the same kind of crazy ass stuff that I've been doing, and they're just embarrassed to talk about it. And they, you know, and trust me, I've gotten maybe 20 to 25 messages from people that I haven't talked to in years, or current friends of mine who can totally identify it, and they're thanking me for it. So the mission's already completed if I wanted to make this the last video. But there's so much more to talk about, and I want these authors and these visionaries to get credit for what they've been talking about. So I was so obsessed with where I should be at and where I'm not, and my work ethic was, even if I came to work sober, okay, I was so distracted by what was wrong, and my mind was just so screwed about why people were thinking the way they're thinking, or how could that be logical to them when it's not logical to me, and all this stuff's going through my head. So if you ever read A Course in Miracles, it says you need to hear the truth about yourself as frequently as possible because your mind is so preoccupied with false self-images. Again, you need to hear the truth about yourself as frequently as possible because your mind is so preoccupied with false self-images. So, yes, it is good to take an honest appraisal of myself on a daily basis as far as what isn't working and maybe what I need to improve. But hey, let me tell you something. It's okay to give yourself a pat on the back and address and talk about what you are good at. Because if we don't focus on the positives in life, we're actually shortchanging ourselves. We turn on the TV, we turn on the radio, we open up the newspaper, we open up these blogs, and all you hear is all this negative bashing about all these people, about who, what they're not doing, what their agenda is, and who's lying, who's being sneaky, and all this crap. The other purpose of this show is to congratulate and recognize people for what is good, what they do say is helpful. This is important. If we lived in a society like that, there'd probably be a lot less mental illness and a lot less people so upset with where they're at in life. If people would just sit around and be sincere and congratulate others without having some type of a personal agenda. Not flattering somebody to get something out of them. So yeah, Course in Miracles has got a great bunch of stuff in there. Mastery of Love, Don Miguel Ruiz. Everybody's got their own interpretation of things, right? And this is based on our life experiences up until now. Some people think the way they think based on what they've gone through. They don't know any better. They're on this path. And, some of us have to go through a certain amount of suffering. So for me, yes, people upset me here and there, but when I'm able to get honest with myself, I look and I say, okay, these people they're probably doing something now that they need to go through, like I had to go through all this other crazy ass stuff that I did. All these embarrassing, humiliating, despicable, deplorable, things that I've done. And, yes, now today they're a little bit entertaining. I can use them to help somebody else. And so people realize that they're not alone making mistakes. They're not the only nuts out there. I was one of those nuts. I was the biggest nut leading this Congo line of degenerates for 20 years, and I had no idea how my actions and my words affected others. So yes, people do insult us. Yes, people do wrong us, but I was processing these things as my truth because I heard it over and over again, and I started to believe it without really taking the time to address the truth, seek guidance, and seek help. But now that I'm doing those things, my life's getting better. All the right people are showing up. All the bills are paid. The money's coming in at an amount that I've never had before. I got these great relationships with others, and life is just nice and easy and simple, and I'm having a lot of fun. There are humans versus humans in a jungle of predators, humans full of judgment, full of blame, full of guilt, full of emotional poison. Envy, anger, hate, sadness, suffering. We create all these little demons in our mind because we have learned to dream hell in our own life. We don't have to have these thoughts. It's just something happened years ago. Oh, by the way, that was from Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. We just don't... I don't know what happened along the way where everybody had these ideas that affected... Well, not everybody. People had these ideas that certain things and certain practices were going to make others happy. All these externals, right? And yeah, if I had $1 million in the bank, things would probably be looking pretty good. But you know what? I had a large inheritance about 15 years ago, and I probably received it at the worst time. I was not mentally well. This is also from Mastery Love. This is really good. Human mind is sick with a disease called fear. Just like the description of the infected skin, the emotional body is full of wounds, and these wounds are infected with emotional poison. The manifestation of the disease of fear is anger, hate, sadness, envy, and hypocrisy. That's a big one for me. The result of the disease is all the emotions that make humans suffer. That's also for Mastery of Love. Yeah, some good stuff, man. I'm telling you, the answers cannot come to a mind that's at war with itself. So if I'm obsessed with what's going wrong, and I'm suffering, and I'm distracted, and I'm making more mistakes, whether I'm drunk, high, sober, tired, it doesn't matter. That's why it's been told to me that taking those moments throughout the day, just a complete peace, shut off the cell phone, shut off the TV, shut off the radio, shut off the internet, and seek the answers. Because most of us know the difference between right and wrong, okay? But we're so full of fear of making the wrong decision that we may act out impulsively. Some people don't do that. Some people have gotten to this place of enlightenment. For me, I didn't get to any enlightenment unless I suffered. I did not get humble until I was humiliated, if that makes any sense. But these experiences I'm going to expose in the upcoming weeks, it's going to get ugly. It is embarrassing, but like I said, it is so crystal clear to me today that I have to do these things, and I have to share this with anybody who's interested in listening to it for the benefit of somebody else. Because I feel like I'd be shortchanging myself and the world, and everything else gets taken care of. This is my work. It's not me selling produce. It's not me slinging fancy, healthy dishes at a restaurant. This is my work. This is it. And it might stop in a couple weeks. It might stop in another year. I really don't know. But this is what makes me feel good. And hopefully somebody else out there is identifying with this, and maybe they'll pass along to somebody else. Maybe you'll buy these books, and these great authors who can really describe it in detail better than I can. This is just the advertisement. I'm living proof. I was a derelict, man. And it's a good thing I'm alive to be of use to the world, somehow. So I'm not a prophet. I'm just Dan Banchero, and I'm having a great time. So here's to feeling good all the time, and have a great Christmas holiday, and we'll get back to you next time with 2011. Give yourself a break. Remember, in all fortune comes misfortune, but in all misfortune comes great fortune. Have a great day.